Hello everyone, you're listening to the Eiffel Tower podcast. My name is Oliver G, and this show is brought to you by French Today. And believe it or not, everybody, I'm sitting here in the studio with Camille from French Today right now.
Yes, me, myself, and Camille. Wonderful, the star. You make me feel like a star, Oliver.
We have to address something straight away. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better.
Because for the people who aren't regular listeners, we should rewind a little bit. Camille, who's the voice of French Today, is on this show every month, and you have been since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
People are getting to know you pretty well.
Hopefully.
And then you went off air for a couple months.
Yeah.
And I'm getting emails. How's Camille? Yeah. Where's Camille? I'll hand over the mic to you. Is everything better or?
It's much, much better. Like a lot of people, I hope, may know me by my voice because they may have studied with my audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been sick and what I've had has been affecting my voice. We don't still quite understand what it was. It's not serious. So yay, good news. No problem. The problem on having something that is not serious is that you kind of, dropped there. Like, yeah, it's nothing. Okay. I still have a problem, but nobody wants to take care of it. So
it's like the worst thing that could happen to an audiobook person, isn't it?
It's not fantastic to lose your voice when you are a recording artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's the same for me, I guess.
Yeah. See, yeah.
I just get one of my brothers to do it. Who knows everyone out there? Maybe I've done that before. But what the idea is that we're going to get to today is we're going to talk about the idea of speaking French to someone and then they answer in English. But we're going to get to that in a second. There's a lot we have to talk about because when you lost your voice, I had your husband Olivier in the studio.
And he did a good job. I was very proud of him.
He was cool. Yeah, he was great. Yeah. So we did that, and then I did a sort of rerun of a Patreon-only episode from, I'm going to say it, vous and tu.
Yes, perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because for years I was pronouncing them as if they rhymed, which is obviously wrong. It's not vous and tu, everybody. But that's what Camille is here for, is to help with this kind of stuff. But the other thing, the elephant in the room, not really, but the other thing...
I hope it's not me. Come on.
The other thing is, this episode's coming out on Monday. So the day after, as in tomorrow, we're going to both be at the event at the Australian Embassy.
Oh, yes.
Are you excited about that?
I can't wait. Can you imagine meeting the ambassador and all your Patreons? Not all, but a lot of them. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's going to be
great.
cool. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of apartment to the ones in Paimpol where you live. Or...
Yeah, I don't quite have a view over the Eiffel Tower.
No.
But, I mean, it's, to each his own, I guess.
To be fair, though, like I've been down in the south of France, and a lot of the people I met were saying, Paris, too busy. You got to move somewhere like this. Do you feel the same living in the French countryside?
It's a tough question, Oliver. I love coming to Paris for a vacation, for a short trip and so on. To live there... I bet, I would enjoy it if I lived in the 6, for example. That would be nice,
right.
But there are some parts that are very, very busy and it's hectic. Yeah, some parts are hectic. The parts that I could afford would certainly, afford to rent. Okay, that would definitely be hectic, though. Yeah.
Paimpol, I had the fortune of visiting you there last year. It is lovely, very different, calm,
very human. Very nice. It's a small town and there's the sea and it's a touristic town but nothing like the south of France and the view is just gorgeous. We're very lucky to raise our daughter there. It's a fantastic quality of life for a short family and a teen now.
That's nice. So nice. And when I was there, I remember speaking French to someone and them answering in English, which is a perfect segue into our conversation. But before I forget, the live show that Camille and I were just talking about is going to be streamed publicly free on YouTube. So if you want to watch it 8:30 p.m. Paris time on Tuesday, the 22nd of October, you can watch the whole show. You might see Camille in the crowd with Olivier as well.
And the ambassador.
I hope he's there.
Yeah.
But let's talk about today's topic, right? So I can talk about it personally, and you can explain the best ways to get around it. And I think a lot of the listeners to this show will have been in this situation. They've learned French. They're feeling somewhat confident. They go into a shop. They say, bonjour, est-ce que vous avez... They start a sentence. The French person responds in English.
It's very common. Unfortunately, it is common. You ask me to explain, but I don't quite know why French people do that, but it's a fact. So do they want to speak English? It's possible. It's probable, I would say. Do they think it's polite to answer to someone if you know the language? It's also possible. I've had this theory. I know that I've been guilty of doing it myself when I was much younger. Since then, I traveled and I learned that people who come to France often are here to practice their French. But yeah, I think it's maybe a form of politeness for them to do that. It's really too bad because a lot of tourists are embarrassed and feel, rejected in their effort.
You feel defeated a little bit.
Yeah, what was your experience?
It's happened to me a lot for numerous different reasons, I think. When I first moved here, my French was so bad that I think they were trying to save me, like throw a life jacket out to me to stop me from drowning. But more recently, because I know that my French is a lot better, not least because I've been doing the French Today audiobooks.
Oh, great placement. Oh, wonderful. Look at the professional here.
But I think lately, so for example, I've been down in the south of France and I went to a lot of, tourist places and restaurants and that kind of stuff. And they would answer me in English. And I think it was, like you said at first, that they just wanted to use English.
Yeah, it's so important nowadays to speak English in Paris or in all over the world, actually. So I think that French people just seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is what you said. Like I don't know how to say that subtly, but people who want to practice their French need to find the right moment and the right person.
Right.
Okay. If you're a tourist in Paris in full month of July and it's the peak season, it's really, everybody's there. Everybody wants to practice their French. The poor waiter.
Yeah. Don't try the subjunctive on the waiter.
No, and he's not your French teacher. No. He has probably like 10, 15 tables to take care of. And his English is probably much better than your French. Maybe it's not perfect, but, so if you want to practice your French, I would really advise you to go to the countryside, maybe go to less, busy places and off season. Go there in December. Go there in January.
Rent a scooter and drive between them all, something like that, right?
That's an excellent idea. And you know what? I have a friend that could give you some very good tips.
Sounds like an idiot, this guy.
Well, I don't know. I think you have to ask his wife.
I think you're exactly. We're referring to me here. I think you're exactly right because when you go into a small shop and there's no other customers, people tend to be really, especially in the countryside, really open to speaking French. And they're really encouraging.
And you know what? I'll let you in a little secret.
We got a scoop. Let's hear it.
They're bored.
You think that's it?
Oh my gosh!
Bored shopkeepers.
Oh, believe me, I took care of a shop. Not took care. I can't speak English today. I'm so sorry. You'll have to see. See, I know exactly what you are going through because I go through too. Some days where you can't speak French and you wonder why. Right. Well, I'm kind of bilingual. I mean, my English is fairly okay. Today.
Camille, you're too hard on yourself. And everybody at home and me are very grateful that you're talking to us despite your poor health and poor voice. But keep going. You're doing perfectly well.
Thank you.
So these people are bored. You took over a shop. You looked after a shop.
Yeah, I did. In Boston, I took care of a wedding store, which was really interesting, I can tell you, because you have to convince not only the bride, but often her mother who's paying for the dress. And yeah, it's not always like there's a lot of psychology in that work.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Plus the dresses, they weigh so much, like they are super, super heavy. Yeah. So no, it's an interesting job. I loved it.
When you get married in France,
yes.
You know how in English you say I do? Mm-hmm. What do you say in French?
You can say, you have several possibilities, but the most common one is oui, je le veux. Oui, je le veux.
As in, I want to do it?
Yes, so people would
That's
say...
so weird. I want to do it.
The person marrying you would say, for example, Oliver, est-ce que vous voulez épouser Lina?
Yeah.
And you would say, oui, je le veux. Or you can just say oui.
It's nice that they veut me as well. Vous voyez me.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, I would say probably, very likely.
Oui, je le veux.
Yes, or you can just say oui. Yeah, that's fine as well.
Okay, well, that was a bit of a distraction. But this...
Yeah, so I'll go back to my point
please do.
Shopkeeper being bored. And it's really, really true. You know, after if you go in a town like Paimpol, of the tourist season, say January, February, you'll find people who they seldom see a customer every day. So they'll welcome you. They'll be happy to share your life story. And what I'd like to say here is, again, if you are a beginner and want to practice your French in France, it's not going to be that easy, because if you go to Paris, everybody speaks English, or a lot of people speak English, and it's going to be so much easier for them to speak English than to try to help a beginner to speak French. You have to be a professional, you have to be a teacher, and you don't have to, but it's not easy for everybody to be able to carry on a conversation with a beginner, you know. It's difficult for them to change the way they speak so that you would understand it.
Yep.
I'm sure the contrary has happened to you, where you meet somebody who wants to speak English with you, and broop, you know, you go full speed, speak English, and the person doesn't.
Sure, I agree.
Know.
I think it's almost I think it is a language skill that's almost like speaking another language. Is speaking a very slowed down, basic, simple English or simple French, and a lot of people on both sides of this fence don't know how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've noticed it from both ways. Like if I have a French friend visiting or hanging out, that people I'm with in English will speak so quickly to them. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. But people don't realize how difficult it is to speak in another language.
Yeah.
And also they don't realize that as you are speaking, you have your inside voice that criticize the hell out of you, and you're looking for your words, and you're looking for your pronunciation and what to say next. And it's inside the brain. It's really terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, be kind to yourself and be kind to people who are trying to speak another language with you.
I think everyone just needs to take a step back and relax when they're speaking to foreigners, because it makes everybody have a more pleasant experience.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about, in a second, some of your tips to people for ways of saying, excuse me, can we speak French? And we'll get to that in a second. But for all you people listening thinking, hey, I like the sound of this lady Camille and what she's talking about, it's FrenchToday.com/earful10. And if you put that earful 10, you'll get a further 10% discount on all of their audiobooks. So go and check that out right now while we're talking, if you like. Before we get to this sort of suggestions, I want to tell you one of the things that I've been doing, and you can tell me what you think. And I think you already know this, but there'll be some new listeners out there, because I did a lot. I was actually traveling with some people who are learning French, and one of them was a Swedish man. And I taught him you know what I'm going to say, don't you? So when you go in there and when they maybe compliment you on, oh, your French is sounding pretty good, or if you say to them, I'm learning French, I like to add, je parle français comme une vache australienne.
That works all the time. It's great.
And it was amazing. And I was saying to this Swedish guy, you should say, je parle français comme une vache suédoise, feminine, because it's a cow.
Yeah, even though he's a man.
Yeah. And just to catch everyone up to speed, there's a saying in French, I speak French like a Spanish cow, une vache espagnole. But if you flip it and make it about yours, I know you guys have heard this before, but do it. Use my joke, because it's the only joke I have that's 100% laugh rate.
It's sure it will work. I've heard it before and it still works.
Yeah,
so it's just, I can see your face saying that, you know, and I'm laughing. I mean, I can't help it.
There's so much at play, because it's showing them that you've got a sense of humor and you want to chat. It's showing them that you've got a bit of a grasp of French beyond just saying, help, you know, and it's also slowing things down and making them realize that you're not fluent. So don't go 100%.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been doing this whole week in the south of France. But you have much more sensible ways of teaching people. What would you say to someone who's been learning French, comes here and then gets English of hide when they're speaking French?
Well, I would say that if you came to France to practice your French, then you should. You know, you have a right. I mean, that was your purpose. Okay, so first, as I said, location. You know, choose your location, choose your time. Okay, choose your target.
Not a waiter at the Champs-Élysées. Forget the waiters.
That's going to be difficult, but good luck to you. Maybe in, again, January, maybe.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you can tell them that you actually would like to speak French with them. And so you can say a sentence like, j'étudie le français et je voudrais parler français avec vous.
Wow. Can you say that again and people can
Yeah.
repeat? And just so you all know at home, there are a bunch of these in an article on French Today, and I'm going to link it in the show notes and on the website. But Camille, everyone at home, repeat. I don't care where you are, repeat after Camille.
I'm giving you the long version. There's a shorter one, but j'étudie le français et j'aimerais parler français avec vous. Okay? J'étudie le français et j'aimerais parler français avec vous. And then a big smile.
Yes, the big smile, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
can I hear it one more time and then I'll
Yeah.
practice? You say?
J'étudie le français
J'étudie le français
et j'aimerais parler français
et j'aimerais parler français
avec vous.
avec vous.
Et voilà.
Yeah.
And, you smile and the person should at least understand that, oh, because I think that if French people switch, it's not against you. It's not because they don't want to speak French with you. It's either because they did not think that you wanted to speak French,
Sure.
or because they're so excited they're going to be able to practice their English.
Do you think they could be a little bit bragging as well?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah?
for sure. Like, since when does a French person doesn't take the opportunity to brag?
Is
Come on.
do you think that's a thing?
Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah,
especially
interesting.
English.
Yeah.
It's so cool to speak
Yeah.
English in France. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if I were in Australia and I was a waiter, could happen one day, who knows?
Yeah.
And a French guy comes in and he says, I would like lemonade. I might answer in French just
Yeah.
to show off a little bit.
Yeah, that
So,
would be nice.
You think?
Yeah, that has happened to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I continued in French, of course, and, I had excellent service.
Wow. Okay, so what are some other things that we can say?
Well, you can insist if the person keeps speaking English to you or breaking into English to you. You can say, je préfère parler en français, s'il vous plaît.
Mm-hmm.
Je préfère parler en français, s'il vous plaît. And then a smaller smile. Okay, so
Because it is
insist.
it's a bit confrontational, that one.
Well, I'd rather speak French, please.
Yeah.
So, again, the smile, the tone.
Yep.
If you say, oh, je préfère parler français, s'il vous plaît.
Yep.
And the big smile, that's fine. If you say, oh, je préfère parler français, s'il vous plaît. And the frown,
Yeah, that would be amazing if you said that, and then they responded, "Je préfère parler anglais."
Yeah.
and then you just have like a English and French battle. That
Yes,
would be so
exactly.
odd. You'd never get your lemonade.
Or whatever, if they look at you and they say, tu ne peux pas parler français.
Well, can you say j'insiste?
J'insiste. No.
As in, I
no.
insist.
Here you cannot.
But
Then
that
you're not
grammatically
being
you can say
Oh, yeah.
j'insiste.
Grammatically you can.
I say that sometimes, like when someone says, like allez-y through a door
Yes.
after you, and I
Yeah.
say allez-y, and then we go forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say j'insiste.
J'insiste. That's
I always
perfect.
wondered if it was right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Good.
Perfect. Also, if you want to pay, with your
that
friends.
happens less.
Oh, really? What a surprise.
Just kidding. Or am I? Could you use so j'insiste that you continue.
Yeah, but not in that situation. Yeah, okay. D'accord. Merci beaucoup. What's going to happen too, what I've seen, is that the person cannot put it through their head that they should be responding in French, either they don't want to, or they really want to practice, or they're being rude, or whatever. Don't let it go. Keep speaking French. Then they'll answer in English and you'll have a bilingual conversation, and
Yeah.
that's fine, okay? But it's your right, and you may have to insist, okay, that it's
Sure.
your right to speak French. Okay, now, what to do? I'm going to ask myself a question if it's fine.
Sure, we can get, I've always said this is a bit like a therapy room when you and I meet in here. We can ask each other questions. We could go anywhere.
So now let's say that it's okay. The person has agreed to have a French conversation with you. But the next problem is often that you have no idea what they're saying. You're not understanding them.
So true.
Okay.
So in other words, you say, please, I prefer to speak English. And then they continue and you've got no idea. And then you feel guilty. That's a
Yeah.
terrible feeling.
Because they feel terrible, so they're throwing past subjunctive
Yeah.
at you and so on. They really
Oh
make
my
you
gosh.
try. No,
What a
I'm
nightmare.
kidding. No, that's not going to happen. So, but they just, often it's a question of speed. They speak too fast. Okay, so the first thing that you should say is "Je ne comprends pas tout," and the very important word is that last word, the tout. Meaning T-O-U-T, meaning everything.
Tu, not
Voilà.
tu.
Not tu.
It's not saying I don't understand you. It's
Yes.
saying, which would be
Yeah.
toi anyway.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, you're absolutely right to point that out. It's not "je ne comprends pas tout" does not mean I don't understand you as in tu, and as you said, it should be toi. and it should even be a te, te, je ne te comprends pas. Okay, let's forget about that. But je ne comprends pas tout means I don't understand everything, which means that you actually understand some.
Yeah, this is huge, isn't it? This is a big deal.
Because if you say what all the methods, except French today, of course,
The preferred method of the Eiffel Tower. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Woohoo! Everybody tells you, say, oh, je ne comprends pas. First of all, we say, je comprends pas, or je ne comprends pas. Okay. But that means I don't understand. So, as in, I don't understand anything. So why the heck are you trying to speak French with me if you don't understand anything?
I reckon a lot of people would do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, je ne comprends pas tout, the other person says, oh, he understands some. There's hope.
Yeah, he's with me. He just missed a bit.
Okay, and then to say that, slow down and so on. S'il vous plaît, always the politeness. First thing you need to learn. Okay, smile. Okay, and vous pouvez parler plus lentement, or maybe vous pouvez parler plus fort, which is louder. So lentement is slower, and fort is louder here. Vous pouvez parler plus fort, or
vous pouvez parler plus fort, monsieur.
Voilà, exactement.
Merci, monsieur.
Voilà.
Yeah.
Or vous pouvez parler plus simplement.
Yeah.
And here you're asking something that the other person may not be able to do.
That's a good one. No, I like that. I've never used that before.
Ouais.
As in simplify things a little bit if you can.
Vous pouvez parler plus simplement.
Plus simplement.
Plus simplement, s'il vous plaît.
That's going to be my goal for this week, is to use that in a conversation. Vous pouvez parler plus simplement. Especially, when you're calling to get the internet fixed or a phone plan, because it can be quite difficult French. And they often speak quick because they're in a call center and they've got 100 people to talk to. And I always get lost in those situations. And that's a really good one.
Yeah, and you need to understand that it may startle the other person a little bit, because first of all, it's not something that you learn in actually methods and so on. So usually foreigners don't say that, where it's really at the core of the problem. But then you're really asking them to think and to find a way to express what they want in a simpler manner. Pretty much what you are doing all the time when you're trying to speak French.
Sure.
And you have this idea that, like a lot of people think pretty much in English and then try to translate into French. And it's so wrong because as a beginner, you don't have all these fancy words and all this wit that you are able to show through the language in English, but that it's going to take time to get there in French. And so I would say that a huge part of being a beginner student is actually your way to success to learn French is to learn to simplify your sentence so that you can get to the point. And we talked about that in the past.
We've talked about a lot in the past.
Exactly.
I've got a question for you that's totally off topic, but sort of on topic. Actually, it's quite on topic. But I was just thinking, sometimes when I've been on the phone to people, they've spoken plus simplement just because they've realized they need to.
Yes.
And I'm always so grateful. But one time I noticed it really clearly is, with the French numbers are notoriously difficult for beginners,
Absolutely.
So if anyone out there doesn't speak any French whatsoever, 99, they say 420s 10-9. That's how you say 99, right? Yeah. And this guy said to me, instead of saying 420s 10-9, he just said 9, 9, 7, 4.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, if someone's saying a phone number to me and they're saying it really quickly, how can I ask them to say them in single digits?
You can say, s'il vous plaît, dites juste les chiffres. There's because not only you want them to use digits, but 99 is a digit.
Yeah, it's tricky, right?
So it's you want to have them use digits under 10.
Yeah.
So let me think. I don't think there's how would you say it in English?
I don't know.
Return the question when you don't know how to answer it.
It's a weird question, isn't it? But sometimes I've wished that I could ask it. Could you just say single digits, please? That's what I'd say.
Juste un chiffre à la fois.
Okay, that's good.
That works. Juste un chiffre à la fois.
Juste un chiffre à la fois. Yep, that's good. Okay. I'm going to use that one day.
And give an example.
Yeah. Pas 99, mais 99, s'il vous plaît.
Voilà.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to surprise. you're the person who speaks.
Yeah.
And they may have to write down their number. Like
Yeah.
today, like if you ask me to do that with my phone number,
Right.
I can't.
True. Yeah, true.
I just can't. I'm terrible with
Yeah.
numbers as well, in
Yeah.
French and English and anything. And so I would have to write down my phone number to then read it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's funny
weird.
because we can do another podcast maybe one day on another episode. I mean, not another podcast.
We could do another podcast.
I have a great sequel for your podcast, which is about French numbers. And I wrote a whole series on that on the blog of French Today with audio recordings. And one of my tips is actually to do exactly that. When you don't know numbers, long numbers, just use digits and everybody understands,
Yeah.
Another way to simplify things. And it's really important to do that. And as I said, difficult to do for students and even more difficult to do for people who maybe, like people you're speaking to, who maybe don't speak another language themselves and have never realized how hard it was. And so, if the person keeps speaking English, as I said, keep speaking in French on your side and we'll see where it goes. Some people are born teachers, others not so much.
Some people are born cows. What did you have a few more things? I realize, as usual, Camille, the time runs away from us like crazy. But were there some other things in that list that you could share?
Not really. I mean, people can still go on the blog, and I have all these sentences written down and translated. Insist, tell them why you came there. Why, like you can say something like je suis venu. That's the past. So maybe je viens or je voyage. Je voyage spécialement en France pour parler français.
Repeat after Camille, everybody. One more time.
Je voyage spécialement en France pour parler français.
So that's I'm here specifically to speak French.
Yeah, I traveled specifically to France to practice. So the poor person, I mean, you're appealing to their, heart, and they're going to have to speak French with you now. I mean, what else can they do?
That would be so annoying if a listener to this show did that on the Champs-Elysees to one of those waiters.
You cry a little bit. Je voyage spécialement en France.
There's a movie with that in. There's a movie that has, for the life of me, I can't remember it, but it's a bunch of short films about Paris, and they're all about 5 minutes. I think they're all by different directors.
Okay.
And one of them is an American or maybe Canadian woman who spends all her time learning French. Like, she really struggles. And she travels solo to Paris. It's so touching. Yeah. It's so sad. And then she comes here and she goes into a shop and she's so excited to say something. And the guy answers in English, and then it happens to her 3 more times. And I really felt for that woman. She was just an actress, but I'm sure that happens to people as well.
That's a perfect end to the segment. And it's so true. And I mean, if it happened to you, the only thing that you can really, find solace in is that you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's our fault.
Absolutely.
We are the French people do that. It's not because of you. It's not because of your accent. It's not because you cannot speak French or you did anything rude or wrong and so on. It's the French. We take that one. Blame us. It's on us.
Yeah, listen to Camille. She's exactly right. And if it makes you feel any better, I've been living in France for almost 5 years, almost long enough to become a French citizen, and people still sometimes respond to me in English, but I don't let it get me down. So don't let it get you down either. We got to start winding things up, Camille. Okay. First, before I forget, I want to put a specific thank you out to some of the Patreon supporters who've been here for a year.
Fantastic.
So David Guy, Catherine Tran, and Catherine Barnett. Catherine Barnett, who I met once in Montmartre. All you guys, thank you for being here for a year. Thank you for all the new patrons who signed up. Camille, special thanks to you for sponsoring the show.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
It's such a nice pleasure to have you in here teaching me French and everybody else. I hope to. But let's just focus on something. Are you guys going to wear the French Today jackets that Olivia promised in a comment somewhere?
We thought about it, but then it's fleece.
Right.
And then it's the ambassador.
Right.
So yeah.
It'll make for some good pictures, though.
Yeah, but no, I thought of a big badge too, but no. We're going to go discreet.
Discreet, yeah. Covert op in the ambassador's residence. No. Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
I'm very much looking forward to being there.
And everyone at home, you can watch that YouTube. You just go straight on the YouTube channel for the Eiffel Tower. It'll be right there. And it'll be there on replay if you miss it live, if you're sleeping or if you're new to this show. But for the audiobooks, French Today, that's the name of the company. Camille is the voice for the audiobooks. And if you go frenchtoday.com/earful10, 10% off. Anything to add, Camille?
I want to say I'm the voice, but I'm everything. everything else too.
You're
It's
everything.
a two-person company, my husband and I.
Well, that means you're half of everything else then, right?
Yeah, that's true. But it's not like we are this huge, like 150-person company and I do the voice. It's really a small little family business, and so we control everything, and we're damn proud of what we're doing.
And you should be.
With the heart,
you should be.
So,
and and that shines through too for all you guys. I've said it before on the show, but if you've subscribed to the French Today newsletter, you'll see how personal it is. And thanks for giving me a shout out in the last one. I'm reading those emails. But everyone, I'll leave you with that. FrenchToday.com/earful10. Camille, thank you for being in the studio.
Thank you for having me as always.
And I'm going to go out and speak some French at people.
Wonderful.
At them. All right, let's do it.